Welcome back. It's your boy NFO Merc the Code Breaker, man. Hope everybody doing good. I'm feeling wonderful. I'm feeling great. I'm glad y'all tuned in, man. Thank y'all for rocking out with your boy so far. Um, Today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite topics, right? It's a science topic. It's a psychological topic at best, right? It's the cosmos, space, right? Why not? Where we exist, right? This thing is very important to me because this is the ground zero for everybody, right? I recently was hearing somebody say, "What's the point of learning all this shit and talking like this and talking like that and learning all this knowledge and all that, right?" Like when you weren't, you still broke, you still this, you still in the hood and all that. And I agree. You know what I mean? Mind your business and business your mind. I get it. You understand? But I got a certain interest in a certain thing. I don't know what it is. It's like this is where my brain goes, right? You know what I mean? Um, and I realized that studying this stuff is the skeletal to everything, right? This is where stuff is built. This is the ground zero of everything. You understand? So when we rewind time and try to get a assessment of life and where we are and things of that nature, we tend to go to certain books, the Quran, the Bible, the priests and wise men and grandmothers, and this is where knowledge and information was being passed off to you, right? Because there's a few things that we're gonna have to understand, right? Um, Dealing with is the way you're designed. You got two eyes, two ears, but yet you got a third eye and you got an internal ear, right? Why were you designed like that, right? Because at this reality with this level of intelligence and greed and hatred and love and all the stuff that's making life, right? But all this stuff happening right here, where you were designed, you have an internal problem solver of sorts, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So you have a third eye, so you can see past what the regular two eyes, this reality, people, the intelligence would trick the eyes, they would trick the ears, and then you got to go somewhere and hold a study and be like, yo, you know what? I think this is that, and I think this is that. You start to see colors, start to understand why certain people wear certain colors, not just on some hood shit, because the hood as above, so below. So niggas in the hood is just mimicking what's going on upstairs. It's simple as that, right? So you see red and blue, Democrat, Republican. You see red and blue, blood and crip. You see red and blue, Earth and Mars. Elon talking about Occupy Mars. This shit goes all over the place, right? Then you see right now they got a war going on, Israeli and Palestine, right? So we could touch on that if you like, real fast. Let's talk about Israeli versus Palestine real quick. I was just a nigga over there doing whatever I was doing, and I'm hearing about this shit, right? So I said, let me tune in and see what's up. Let me see what's to the madness, yeah. So I want to know who's the liar, where's the truth. And you hear that term Israeli, you start to pay attention. You know what I mean? So those who know, you've got ears you will hear, if you got eyes you will see. You will see what type of flags they rocking, what type of people claim this, and so forth. And it's all yo. Listen. So should I crack the rabbit hole just a little tiny bit? I might do that. Might show y'all some stuff that the way how this reality is set up. They got words that when you were born, sentences, words, descriptions, movies, history, right? That was taking place before you was even born. Then you came in and you started rolling with it. And you start to hear terms, when I was growing up as a kid, even watching my daughter grow up now, she's added more words into her cipher and she's spitting them out. And I'm like, damn, I wonder where she learned that one from. Well, that was pretty good. Oh, I like this. I like watching the brain develop into this. But she's getting programmed into the English language, and she's picking words to describe what she want, how she feel, and so forth, right? So, but there's certain terms we never looked up. Just hearing them in conversation, we think we know what it means, right? And we never type none of this shit in Google neither, like in search. Boop. Like this shit is hidden right underneath your nose. So if you got eyes, you will see. Just want to keep that in mind. There's some laws that we want to go study that we're gonna keep in mind this throughout this conversation. All is mind. That's a Hermetic law, written in Hermetic by Thoth. You know what I mean? It's in all the little books, the Kabbalion, any type of book that you want to go into, you want to see that quote. You know what I mean? By Hermes Trismegistus. all is mind. Everything is happening inside your mind, right? Your mind gets cues from words, right? Words create your reality, right? Your reality is that's your personal reality. Your personal reality is your personality. You understand? So then you see that your world, because your personality, your world, right, is made from words, and then word and worlds share that letter L makes it a world, right? And L is a principle, right? It's a deity, right? It's a principle that you're going to run across when creating, right? A right angle. That is how we create stuff. We create the square with the right angle, right? Those who got ears would hear, those who got eyes would see, right? So let's get back to Israel and Palestine. So technically, Palestine owns the land. Well, when I say owns the land, they however they got to the land, because you know who really owns the land. You know what I'm saying? But they occupied the land. They actually are holding claim to the land. Israel has no problem. Israelis, if I'm saying it right, yeah, Israelis have no problem saying that that's true. So now they're trying to take the land back from the Palestinians, right? And so when I asked Palestinians, I actually met. I got a friend of mine that's a Palestinian, and he like heavy Muslim, and he's in it. He's not really in it, but he's in America, and he understands it from his window, right? So I asked him to explain it to me, and he's like, I don't understand because they have no land. They have no land. That's their biggest gripe. They have no land. So when I think about them not having a land, what do they have? The mind. There's a certain type of mindset, right? An invader's mindset, a parasitical mindset, right? A not like us mindset. You understand? This is where it gets deep. You know what I mean? Now let's stop, put a pin in that because I don't really know too much more. To tell you the truth, I might not even come back to it. So let me see if I can exhaust every thought that comes with it. I'm tripping, right? What I'm saying here. Uh, um, yeah. So just some invaders. You're gonna see this. This is gonna be common throughout a lot of this whole thing, right? I promise you, I was gonna try to react to a video about the Earth being round or flat, having an alternate cosmology to for us to look at that will help us understand. Because the thing about when you push Google, you put in, this program is already running. It's already been. This is mainstream science. This is the deceivers. The reason why I have a problem with mainstream science, y'all. The reason why, y'all, because you can see it right now, man. Trump calling motherfuckers immigrants. He getting the law behind it. This is what it looked like when they was saying that it was illegal to be black, man. If you wondering, if you wanted to have a clue, if you wanted to figure like what it feel like to be in slavery time, this is what it looks like, bro. And it's even worse because we got TVs and phones and like when John Wick, when you want it, everybody phone get the beat, everybody here look down and they look at you. Yeah, remember the Matrix? Everybody's an agent, and something happened. The agent, and then right there, yeah, this is it, bro. This is the times, right? And anytime you could just deem somebody just off the how they look, you already know what's next. Who else is in that? Who else is in there? That's us. We've been going through that. We've been suffering from that. Oh my goodness. Go ahead now. All right, later, not right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Probably have to keep that in there, man. Probably find a way to. Oh my God, man! What you expect, man? This is a bedroom slash office slash everything. You understand? I lost my train of thought, man. But I think it was Israeli Palestine, the invaders, the just the mindset of hijacking was real for greed and stuff like that. So everything that we understand, every word that we have that describes something, there's somebody out there that embodies that word, right? You know what I'm saying? Somebody, people are liar, passionate, is cultural, religious, whatever it is. You know what I mean? People embody this, people that. So then we have a whole side that has a doctrine, a religion, and so forth. Hold on, real quick. Um, Made a whole doctrine, a whole culture, a whole way of life out of this deception. You understand? Deception Point. It was a book I read by Dan Brown, the guy who wrote Angels and Demons, and this existed right when the towers fell. Well, it existed a long way before that, but this is when I read it, right? And he was talking about the NSA. He was talking about encryptions. He was talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, NSA. Never heard of it. National Security Agency. They over the president. Because of the security level they are. They don't have to report to the president. You understand? Then they got the encryptions. Everything, every program that they telling you is encrypted. They have a back door for the feds because of terrorism. So 9/11, whether it was homegrown or not, what it did to the security system was put a way that they could look at you because you can potentially be a terrorist at any given moment because of the pressure. Pressure bust pipes or it make bombings. You understand? So the pressure of the system, of the invaders, of the takers, of the people that will death onto you, and they make a profit out of your pain. Make a profit out of your ignorance. This is what this shit is all about. So this is them energizing themselves off of something God made. Once they turn currency into the representation of energy, and then you turn your real energy in to get the currency to then go and keep establishments up and above, right? Then the establishment spends money on marketing, and marketing spends money on psychological things to make you the illest consumer known to man. And then they put shit in food. They put shit in everything to make it addictive. So now you want a particular name. You don't just want chicken. You want McDonald's. You want KFC. You know what I mean? You don't just want to smoke a cigarette. You want a Newport. You want a Marlboro. You want a whatever kind of brand that it is because they put a chemical in there that makes you want that. This is drug dealing 101, man. So shit is crazy. Shit is sad, right? So when I get back to the earth, we can get back to the earth be around or flat, right? Because when you've been rocked to sleep, when you've been punched to death, you're dizzy, your shit is spinning. They got you on a spinning bowl leaning sideways. You don't know nothing about the stars, you don't know nothing. And then when they knock you out on a cartoon, where they put the stars going around your head. And when you start to see shit, you just can't unsee it no more. So get into the know, all right? Get into the know, y'all. I'm gonna try my best to walk y'all through some of this shit. This is one hell of an introduction. Well, today we got a video today. A guy named Kenney Martin or Martin Kenney or something like that, and he's on Facebook. I just said his name so you can find out however you want to find him. But today we're gonna react to a presentation he made on a geocentric model of the globe. Right now we got geocentric and heliocentric. Right, helio meaning sun. Right, and the sun is in the middle, and everything else revolves around the sun. That's weird. That's the theory or the model that they say that we live under today. Right, so a geocentric, right? Geo will meet the Earth in the center, and everything revolves around the Earth, right? So, how is this possible? We believe that this night sky is a projection from an energy realm, energy way, right? Called the Van Allen by mainstream science, and today we will learn other terminology from different cultures and so forth. Synchronicity. Synchronizing is when there's two ways I'm gonna talk about synchronicity, right? Not necessarily the Google's definition, Merck's definition, right? To show you that I understand the word. So synchronize or synchronicity, if you ever had a psychedelic experience, right? It's very your third eye or your inner self kind of notice the synchronicity so fast, like background cues, randomness, be right on purpose, like be right on time, right? It's like, so sometimes you have an internal conversation with yourself, and then something outside the reality would coincide with that. So you may even have a conversation with somebody, and then the reality will bring that forth, right? So people call it a coincidence, and some people call it corresponding, right? In the Matrix, the movie, he thought it was a coincidence, deja vu, because he saw the same cat, the black cat, and they said there's no such thing as deja vu, right? This things happen for. This is a glitch in the Matrix. Everything happens for a reason. There's no such thing. So there's a few rules I like to talk to you guys, put your subconscious mind under when we there's a couple of them, right? Good amount of them. So all is mind, number one, right? And if you do not, number two, if you do not understand white supremacy, anything you learn will only confuse you. This is by Nelly Fuller. You can pull him up on YouTube, listen to him talk, the compensatory laws of black. I forget how it goes, but he's very militant on the way he sees the reality and how we as black people should come from zero to something, right? Should give it a watch it with the family, watch it with your kids, watch it with the kids, man. Right? Don't be afraid, right? This is how you know it's good. This is how you know it's organic. Is when the whole tribe can sit at front of the same screen and get the same entertainment, the same value out of it. That's good, right? You know, when we're watching stuff that's eroding our mind, we know we can't let the children watch it. That's the key to keep you on track. It's called it straight and narrow for a reason. This is the most precious place in the world, Craig. G14 classified. You got. It's not even about. It's about what you see. This is why they stealing consent from you, right? You're put on a certain show, and then before you know it, homosexual activities is happening without any warning, right? So they'll do the sound cues. The camera will show you a weird, obscure angle and get you drawn in. And then when the camera finally show you where I'm going, you see two men. You know what I mean? So it's not good, man. The Aki say staff for law. You hear me? All right. So if you don't understand white supremacy, anything you learn will only confuse you. That's number two. Number three, there's nothing superficial in your matrix. Everything has a meaning. All right. There's nothing superficial in your matrix. Everything has a meaning. Right. So put that to the test. Right. So let me show you where I got that idea from. When they were deciphering religious texts, right? Men start to count and register everything. What's the first letter in the book, in the Holy Torah? It was the letter B. B, the shape, the symbol of the word of the sound B. I think it's like Benah in Hebrew, right? And that means in, like in. You know what I'm saying? So they say the key to the Torah is that the very first letter is teaching you what the whole thing is about. But it's cool. You might not get it. So the first word, then the first sentence, then the first paragraph, then the first page. You understand? All this is to help you get it. You understand? So there's nothing superficial in your matrix. They counted how many times a letter appeared throughout the whole text, right? And then they started to like chart it and see stuff and make graphs and colors and sounds and notes and rhythms and frequencies, the whole shebang. And this is how it when it starts to sync. This is how it cannot be a coincidence. This cannot. This is beyond a man's doing. This is beyond. This is beyond. Right? So we are just the receivers of thought at any given time. Any one of us in the humanity can receive a thought, and it's just like cueing. And then because we got a colonized mind, because we got a traumatized, we got trauma running through our body, and it's a frequency that we know all too well. So we are very hesitant on new information and new people and stuff like that, right? So have no fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself, right? And number four, I came up with this one. There are infinite causalities happening simultaneously to make your reality. There are infinite causalities simultaneously happening to make your reality. So our mind may be able to see one or two or three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, whatever number of things that's making this reality real, right? That was me saying like air quotes for the hearing for the visually impaired. You know what I'm saying? All right, then we got so we're gonna talk about space today in our own little way, right? So space, you know what I mean? We're gonna get some truth to this right here. Because when you say space, instantly they step outside your body and you got you all up there in the darkness. Darkness, right? So the laws of space. Space needs nothing to exist, but everything needs space to exist. You know what I mean? We understand that, right? Number two, space is within and without everything. It's the uncreated creator. Number two, that was a good one. Number three, space is and is not, being something and nothing simultaneously. One and zero. Super condition. This gets a little algebraic, a little mathematical right there. But this is see, you see what's going on as we broke down space. I wrote that down, heard it on TikTok. I forgot the guy's name that actually gave me those little things. I was watching something else unrelated, and that those rules came through. I had to watch it and write it down, watch it and write it down. All right. So we're going to hear some other words like God. What is God? God. Remember, we talk about deities, the deity El, which represents a particular functionality in the reality, right? God is that sustains you. One definition. God, generator, organizer, and dispenser of reality, right? So that's a God that loosely describes us, right? Greatness on display loosely describes you, a way for you to live, right? So there's all types of ways to to power pack the word God for the sake of understanding and breaking free of certain type of mindsets, right? But because of the reality that we're in the Christian realm slash whatever, but Christianities tend to be running it Catholic, so forth, English. You understand? So we under 225 years under this European way of seeing operating, right? So this is why Trump is in there now, trying to eradicate the truth and so forth. The 5% was giving out knowledge through mouth, through oral, no funny, no puffy. Shame on you. But through oral tradition, right? Through oral history, but that's how you knew it. So then you can pass it to the little seeds, the kids, make it digestible for the kids, and stuff tend to have a little rhythm to it and rhyme and reason, so that it got a way for it to be remembered. You know what I mean? So yo, today let's get it started. We already wasted half an hour on an intro, but these are things I felt I needed to touch on. Plus, I ain't see y'all in a minute. You know what I mean? So, part yourself. Let's get into it though. This is what's this guy's name? Kenny Martin on my Facebook page right here. All right. It's your boy, NFO Merc, the Code Breaker, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Love is love at all times. You already know. Each one teach one. Let's begin to learn, son. What's happening here?
Over the last 6 months, I've been working on a model of what the universe could look like from a geocentric point of view. Um, Obviously, we've got the mainstream point of view, which is obviously very wrong in many ways, and possibly right in other ways as well, which I'm going to try and prove today. But the ancients, quite obviously, knew a lot more than we know today about these truths. So I used a method that I learned off Santos, the method of syncretism, to try and connect the dots and come up with a cohesive, geocentric universe that makes sense, at least. Of course, we'll never know the truth, the whole truth.
A few things that was just said just now. He said the ancients knew more than we do now. That's a pretty interesting phrase. And another phrase, heliocentric and geocentric. Heliocentric is the sun in the middle of the universe, and we revolve around the sun. and geocentric is the Earth is in the middle, and things revolve around it, right? So, once we get into this alternate way of seeing the universe, some of our old ways, gravity has to go, different things go, and you start to understand it from a whole new understanding. When people say, "Oh, if the world is flat, we should be able to walk off the edge, and the light should be able to shine all over," and all this stuff that I don't understand how come that gets lost in the understanding. Some light has a certain amount of looms that determine how far it can shine and for how long how far the rays go. So depending on the strength of the light. So the way this thing is set up, half of it is in dark while the other half is in light, depending on where you're positioned. Blah 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 blah. So anyway, just keep some of these things in mind. So heliocentric, the sun in the middle; geocentric, the Earth is in the middle.
naturally in this state of consciousness. But I think we can certainly get as close to it as possible through syncretism and other means as well. So that's what I've done. I've syncretized mainly four avenues. I've syncretized Vedic scriptures, Kemetic Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, Norse mythology, a bit of the Bible, and a bit of the science we're taught today, mainstream science. There's a lot of truth in there. We just have to be able to decipher what they're telling us, but they are telling us quite a few truths, which I think might be a bit controversial in the flat Earth community, but I'm sure my argument is going to be quite compelling, hopefully. I'm going to start. I'm going to start from the beginning. My presentation is based on the cosmic egg theory, the theory that our universe is inside an egg or a shell, which is actually a torus field. Okay, everything is
Synchronicity. He's going to synchronize all the different information, right? We have different, uh, yeah, synchronize all the different information, all the different languages. Because remember, the Tower of Babel, the language is going to be a problem. So the way we relate to words and our understanding. So we have he's finding an ancient ideal, and they have illustrations, we have symbols, we have text, we have different things. So this cosmic egg theory runs all the way down, right? We can actually look at the egg and actually see the way the egg is constructed, understand life, like what happens inside the stomach. We can see it outside the stomach in the egg form. And we as the gods, we as the the highest form of intelligence on earth, we can learn these things, right? Learn about these things, and it will tell us when and where we are in the reality and how what to expect when we take the known and put it to the unknown. Because as above, so below; as within, so without. There's going to be certain rules that's going to help chaperone your quest for the truth, right? Synchronizing is another good way of doing it. When you go into the globe Earth thing, there's no synchronicity. There's just what they're telling you. You have to buy it for what it is. And it's too many times that devil has approached us with that same bargaining tactics, and it's not really a good way of doing business. You know what I mean? So having an alternate way of seeing something, this will come up. All this will come up as the conversation develops.
toroidal. Um, so I'm going to start from the beginning. Right. So in the beginning, all cultures and even mainstream science tells us that there was nothing, absolutely nothing, the void, emptiness, empty space. Today, science calls it infinite space, time, and matter. Okay. Past cultures also had names for this. The Greeks called it the chaos. The Norse called it the Gunning The Egyptians called it the noon. This is the void. This is everything and nothingness. This is the multiverse. Okay. I think there's no.
We get confused with that term void, right? You see how he's trying to explain the void. The void is unknown. The void is chaos. The void is yet to be conquered by man. Man has no idea of what it is because we haven't been out there. We don't have a sample of the product to tell you what it is. So all we are using is educated guess. We're using ancient technology, ancient ancestors, recollection, and depictions, and so forth. And our modern tongue versus that ancient tongue is where we get a lot of problems. So there are some people in the middle who carries the tradition, right? The way the establishment is set up, they make us look at those people like witch doctors or primitive and so forth. But the Dogons is an African tribe in Africa, and it was explaining about the planet Nibiru. They was explaining about certain things and different constellations and so forth, and the white and the Sirius star. That's what it was, the Sirius star. So they was telling them about the Sirius star, and the white man, this, you can't see this, you can't see it but by eye, man, and so forth. So it took them years to get the technology to actually see the star that the Dogons were referring to. And they thought in this story that the shit was being lost in translation. Come to find out, they was being accurate, and you're just too arrogant to understand. So that it came back to him, was like, oh shit! If y'all know about the Sirius star, the dog star, is where you get Sirius radio, and you see the dog looking up, and if you see the symbol, I might put it in the video. But look, right? Remember, I was telling y'all earlier, there's nothing superficial in your matrix, i.e., your universe. You understand? So everything is happening, especially when it comes to corporations taking names and symbols and so forth. We will get into that later on in the video, because this is the truth. This is a fundamental aspect of the reality. Don't let the devil rock you to sleep and make you think that where you live and how you live and how it's constructed is nothing. It doesn't matter. You can think it's round. You can think it's that. You can. You do have the right to think however you want. But when you're trying to build off of sound mind and logic, it behooves you to get rid of some of these fantastical um, uh, ideas and theories. There's a lot of theories that's running around in people's mind as a fact, and it's a theory. You understand? So the information, as we're falling deeper into the deep state, as we're falling deeper into the yoke of mainstream, a lot of our Google, all our surface information is going to be tailored in a way to blind your mind's eye, right? So it is imperative that we keep alternate ways of seeing something going, because this helps Mio and I see the truth, even if one of them, the current side that I might be on, may not be the truth, but it may add clarity to the whole thing, right? So sometimes if you want to be, like they say, be the angel's advocate instead of the devil's advocate, be the angel's advocate and see it from the other side, using love, using teaching, using all that. So I'm honestly went to the other side, the flat earth side, to see if this rhetoric can pull me back. You understand? So I went over there because I was tired of everything that was going on. I was tired of the lies, the inconsistencies since I was a kid. It didn't make sense. They got too many different books that's telling us about something. We got the Bible saying it was created like this. Then we got science that's in contrary to the Bible. Got it. So I'm not saying that the Bible is the end all be all to anything, but it was here. This is a tribute to the ancestors. It has been altered. It has been tampered with. So we have other cultures, other religions, other words, other people that's going to help add it into clarity. Do not let any form of information come towards taking any form of information, and you do not evolve. Let that information evolve with you. Certain words that you learned when you was a kid, this is no way mean the same thing to you now. It's the same word, but because you got all these years of life with it, you can see this word in full application. You understand what I'm saying? So you understand this word a little bit more better, even down to the etymology of the word, to why the word is constructed the way it is. And that's how we get compound words, and we get context clues and sentences, and we think we know the definition of a word because the frequency of which the word was used. But when we go to the book and get the actual definition or the etymology, sometimes it blows your mind. And that's just dealing with language on that particular level. When we're dealing with a beast who would take a name and trademark it, take a name and make a business out of it, and then put it back into the reality. And then we're saying it like it's just regular things like Black Lives Matter. And like that was a spirit, emotional thing to black people, but it was a corporation set up by non-black people that went through the thing of getting money. It was all about money based on our emotional connection to these words. Everybody that's black that feels the connection to that word They wasn't into the business. They didn't get no money. They didn't get no benefits from the shit. And nothing happened. But the corporation that did, they did. That was the you've been fooled, right? And this is because the TV, the idiot box that tell lies through vision, has been robbing us of critical thinking, people. This is why I'm here. I always thought to myself, oh, this is just like a little thing I like to do in my spare time. But as I think about it more and more and more, this is the first light to help you come back home, help you reconnect with your ancestors. 'Cause a lot of us like to say, oh, I'm Indian and I'm this and I'm that. I'm from Africa and I'm a tribe and I'm a warrior and all that. But yet you don't know nothing. Yet you're still saying God in your description of something. That means that you have been colonized, brother and sister. That's what that means, right? When you step out of this bubble, you will find other words to describe this phenomenon of life. You will even have a different approach to it. You understand what I'm saying? So let's continue.
No way to express it or to explain it in any words or level of consciousness that we have now. So we're going to try and use words that we can relate to at best. This space is intelligent, conscious, it is beautiful, it is divine, it is holy. So if I use certain words, they're not going to do this justice. Whatever this is, this infinite space, time, and matter. This is the alpha, the omega, the beginning, and the end. Okay? So that was everything and nothingness, the void of infinite potential to begin with. At some point, this void decided to separate a part of itself to create and experience life outside itself, because it can. This is the nature of infinite potential, to use that potential. And the first creation, from our point of view, was what we know as the Holy Trinity, okay? Which I've...
This is changing. Remember, space is the... no, I thought I wrote it down. I did. It's in another book. But earlier I put some rules into space about it being a superposition, it needing nothing to create, but everything needs it in order to create. It is the uncreated creator, right? And we're making space seem like the nothingness, but it's not nothingness. It's an intelligence, right? That we perceive as blackness, right? And this blackness gives birth to everything around us, right? Now, the word give birth and blackness ties into feminine attributes. Now, when people say that God is a female, a black female on that, this is where this adds more homage to that, right? And everything that's created, there is a personality, is a human being that personifies everything in creation, right? So each one of us is a fragment of some part of the whole creation, right? So back to that causality, there's a multitude of causalities going on simultaneously, creating your reality, and each one of us has a innate ability to see something in these causalities. Some of these causalities are insignificant, and some of them, are leading the world in technology. You know what I'm saying? But this is your uniqueness. This is your gift. This is your essence. This is inside of you, right? And now we are playing another man's game. Um, I'm going to fast forward some of this because it gets a little tedious. All right. I really just want to get to the model a little bit, but you need this part of it, believe it or not, to show you the words and the shapes and so forth and where he got this stuff from. So as tempted as I am to skip it, I'm not. What I would do is speed it up. All right. Now I already got it at 125. We're gonna go at 1.5. Truck fit the outfit. By the way, like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Merk. Yeah, though. Alternate cosmology, you already know. Kenny Martin and Santos. Santos is going to come up later to help validate and tighten up this theory, because this is a theory. This is not the absolute. He says it numerous times throughout this interview. I don't know. This is just a theory going off of the information that's around mainstream science, scriptures, ancient texts, and so forth. All right, let's go. Your boy.
Drawn there, as you can see the vesicle crisis there, you can see the flower of life. This is the first form of creation in our universe. Mainstream science today calls this the point of singularity, or the great attractor. It's the same thing. Religion would call it the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, protons, neutrons, electrons, Zeus, Poseidon, and Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Many cultures call it different things. You'll find that the gods or the creators in all cultures always are in threes. They're always in threes. So three is the magic number of creation. Okay. So these are the building blocks of life. I prefer to call it electromagnetic pulses of sine wave or frequency, which is basically a star. This is the first star. This is God, the creator. We are all stars. Everything is Atum, as Santos always says. Everything's a star. It's all the same thing. We are stars. The sun that we look up at, in the sky is a star. The stars in the firmament are stars. God is a star. Creation is a star, right? At different frequencies, at different levels of consciousness, etc., etc. So we've got the Holy Trinity now. We've got the building blocks of life. The first order of business was to create a home or a hub or a shell where it would experience life separate from the whole. So obviously, remember, this Holy Trinity is still in the void. It's still in the infinite potential, but it needs to have its own world in order to create and experience life. And by the way, that Holy Trinity basically is where the meaning of life is. Before I move on, really important. Okay, in Vedic cosmology, you've got Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, creator, sustainer, and the destroyer, and that is life. That is the cycle of life: birth, experience, and death. That is the blueprint of existence.
There's a comment over here that is in disagreement or something. Says everything's in threes, then later on says it's in fours. He's probably going to say something about the four later. And he probably that's such a small and minute detail in the grand scheme of things. But I can see when you're trying to grasp things how you would want a little more clarity. So allow me. The three is we every number is relating to you because man is the measure of all things. So one is me, two is we, three is the baby, four is the land, and so forth. Right. So everything as it unfolds. When we get to the three, three is quintessentially man, the knower, the known, and the unknown, the known of the unknown. Like I know I don't know, I know what I do know, and I know what's known, or some shit like that. Right? That's the three. Right? The triangle. Right? The square is land, circle is love. Right? Circle is a portal, circle is a woman. I mean, so forth. But anyway, you hear the man, woman, and child, past, present, and future, solid, liquid, gas. These are some ways that we can. The three is truth, like the way to strip something down to the truth. If you got a correspondence of three, you know that you're is more than just a coincidence. You understand what I'm saying? So three is a seal of man, no doubt, and then four would be the result of creation as man is applied to the all. You understand? To the zero, right? As man is applied to the zero, he now manipulates it. That wherever man stands at will be the environment. Then we manipulate the environment and make shelters and so forth out of the environment, right? Hopefully that adds clarity. Four is the land, because four is the building, how we build, four corners, so forth. That's what man does. So man is manipulating the land. Understand? So you or the universe is nothing if you are not here to observe the universe. You understand that? So these are some maxims that you have to keep in mind. All right.
As we know it. Those are the three things we all know for certain. There's no debate. Everyone is born, everything's created, everything lives, and everything has to die and will die at some stage. So that's the first rule of creation. Okay? And that is what this Holy Trinity is. And that's where it began. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Now, it is also worth mentioning that death is never permanent. Okay? Death is never permanent. If we're all stars, like I said, stars never die. Stars are energy. Energy goes and lives forever. So what we truly, truly are lives forever. However, the experiences that we have in their different forms have to die at some stage, which is what reincarnation is. So you are born in this body, in this life, in this age, at this time. You live and you experience whatever you're experiencing at that time, but that must die.
And if you see the fish, can you see the fish in that symbol right here? All right, that's Jesus. All right, this is uh, um, this is why he symbolized as the fish for a lot of reasons, right? Pisces, and so forth. Jesus is a thought. The fish is a thought. The mind is the ocean. So a thought in the ocean. What are thoughts? Thoughts are, we don't create thoughts, we receive thoughts. So you understand this thing is occultic, it's coded, and they're using attributes of things to tell a story, right? So you're gonna hear about the snake as energy and so forth. So I just thought that was interesting that you can see the shape, the three circles, right? Two together makes the vesica Pisces, which will look like a womb, and then the third one, right? Man, woman, and child. Man, woman, child, and then Joseph, Mary, then Jesus, then that fish shape right here, especially with that little line going through it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that fish shape, right, represents thought. Mary is the name of the circle on the inside, I believe, and then the outside is Martha, if I'm not mistaken. I got a metaphysical definitions of the Bible, metaphysical dictionary of the Bible, and I read that in there, so I could pull it up for valid. That was off my memory, so Merc shit, you're already.
Die. That experience must die for you to experience something new, which is what reincarnation is, which is the point of life. Because you have to learn from that, you grow from that, you move on. So that's the meaning of life. The meaning of life is creation, experience, growth, and moving on. And then it repeats itself. And you see that with everything. With a tree. A tree grows, it lives, it bears fruit or whatever, it dies, and then the next season it grows fruit again, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Energy never ever dies. So death, permanent death, does not exist and never will, because everything is energy, and energy is infinite. Like I've said, all this came from infinite space, time, and matter. Infinite, meaning forever. So there's no such thing as permanent death. Death is temporal, it's temporary. Okay, moving on. So they needed to create a world where they could express these three things: the cycle of birth, experience, and death. Because those things don't exist in the void, in the car, obviously, because that's infinite potential. So the first thing they built was this, a torus field, right? A shell to shell themselves from the void, from the car. They're now independent. They're now separate. They're now experiencing life outside the whole. Okay. Now, in that void, by the way, in the car, there are many, many other universes and many, many other expressions of experience that are different to us. So this is not unique. We're not the only shell or egg in the universe or in the multiverse. There are many, many of these, right? But this is ours. This is where we are. Okay. So they created this egg, as many cultures called it. The Vedics called it the Brahmanda. The Norse mythology, they called it Ymir, the god Ymir, because expressed through the god Ymir. In Greek mythology, it's the Orphean egg. In Kemetic Egyptian mythology, they called it the Apep, the serpent Apep. And it's always depicted as a snake or a serpent, which is energy. You see a snake in ancient mythology, it's always expressing energy. Okay? So this is the torus field, electromagnetic.
Are we familiar with the snake eating itself symbol? That symbol with the snake eating itself. Do you understand the significance of that symbol? If you do, put it in the comment. I would like to know what you think that symbol means. You could put the definition. You could cheat and go to Google. But if you had to use your mind's eye, what do you think that means, right? And even go to Google and see what Google says. I have an interesting take on it also. Read a book or two. I got some occult knowledge around here, different books and shit that's gonna, add a little science to that.
Torus field that was built, and inside you've now got primordial waters. It's empty. This is when the Big Bang happened. So when mainstream science says the Big Bang happened at the point of singularity, there's some truth in that. What they're not telling us is that that singularity and that process is a conscious, intelligent creation. It is not a random process. It's not something that happened randomly. It was intelligently designed. Again, that star is far more intelligent than we are. If we are a star, we are probably at 5%. The next order of business was to create a cosmic highway. Okay? Because at the moment, everything within this is closed off from the whole, from the multiverse, from all the other universes and all the other experiences outside this egg. Okay? So a cosmic highway.
We could liken this to the baby's developmental stage, right? That's exactly how you look at it, right? Everything that's happening is always happening. Do you have the eye to see it? Do you have the ear to hear it, right? So when you see the sperm coming from the male, right? This is like it's a foreign entity entering the female, right? The sperm, and the female immune system starts to attack the sperm. That's why it's so many sperm, because a lot of them are not going to make it, right? So the chosen one will get to the egg. He's saying the ka, right? In African tradition, the ka and the ba. I think one of them is the mother, one is the father, one represents stillness, one represents movement, and the woman is the stillness, and the sperm is the movement. When they come together, there's a flash, right? The Big Bang. And then remember, you are the observer of the reality, right? So there's no reality, there's no observer, there's no reality, so forth. So as your being coming into reality, before you get here, you require space, right? and you get the space. Then we get covered in waters, right? And then when the water breaks, you understand what I'm saying? To you, this is what happening to you. It breaks from the top of you for real, because you rotate upside down. So you would experience the water leaving your feet, coming down past your head as it's exiting the stomach or wherever the baby is, wherever that area is contained, right? The stomach, the belly, right? Then you get pushed out into the reality and get reacclimated to a new up and a down. You know what I mean? But it's a beautiful process. This also looks like the brain. This is a coded story hitting in the apple with Adam and Eve in the garden and so forth. Let's go.
Was created in the middle of this egg. To make it easier, if that's an egg, right, that is the cosmic highway going down through the center, okay, connecting the outside multiverse, the void, the other universe, with us inside here. We are now inside. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are inside this universe, right, creating, experiencing, and destroying whatever they feel like creating, sustaining, and destroying, right? Okay. So that is what this is. This is a cross section. Okay. So now we've got a cosmic vortex. This is what science calls the axis. Yep, the cosmic axis. Okay. Many cultures called it many things. In Greek mythology, it was personified as the Greek god Elus, the keeper of the winds. In Vedic mythology, it's known as the Meruganda. Okay. In Kemetic Egypt, it's Horus. I think it was a falcon, also keeper of the winds or something to do with the winds. In Norse mythology, they talk about the Bifrost Bridge. Same thing. This is the spine. This is a black hole, if you like. Sometimes science says the black hole in the universe. This is the black hole. This is the father and keeper of winds, energy, flow of weather, currents, everything starts from here. Starts from this energy in the middle. This is the engine room, right? Powering everything inside this cosmic egg, right? So now we've got that.
Nice.
So the next bit was to now put form to the universe. Okay. So now we've established, we've got at the top, we've got.
I don't know about you guys, but I cannot wait to see the model. I keep seeing the model in the background. You keep pulling out paper and shit. And that's cool because, like I said, we got to take the baby steps, right? Now, when you're dealing with shapes, you understand that most shapes are never ever in the 2D the way they're depicted. When you see a shape, you now have to use your mind's eye to put it in 3D. Once it leaves the paper, what would this shape look like? And it has to. So when we make shapes, we try to make it true in all dimensions. So when you make a circle, we pull it off the paper, we end up with a ball because we're giving it the trueness on every angle of which we could see that circle. When you make a square, you get the cube, and then you put it flat. You say, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? The triangle, you make a pyramid, and so forth, right? So, but there's different ways now. We get a sphere, or we can get a cylinder or something like that. I mean, because now it's just circle, tube, circle. But when you look at it another direction, it doesn't look like a circle. You know what I mean? So, these shapes, when we are running around, we see a lot of shapes. We don't tend to put them in 3D. We just take the shape for what it's worth. You understand?
Blue shift, blue fire. Okay. At the bottom, we've got red fire, red shift. These are both polarity, magnetism. Okay. Different forms of magnetism. Different modalities of magnetism. Okay. In the middle, we now have the ether. Okay. We've got air. At the bottom, we've got the water. In the Bible, they say God separated the waters above from the waters below. So the waters above are the atmospheres. The waters below are the actual waters below. Okay. In the middle is where Earth comes in. Okay. This is where Earth. The Kemetic Egyptians said in the middle, in the beginning, God created the Ben. And Ben translates to mound or pyramid. Okay. So a mound or a pyramid was created. This is Gaia in Greek mythology. It's Geb, Mother Geb in Kemetic Egypt. Same thing. Right. So this tells me that this must be a pyramid of some sort, the Earth, originally, and probably still is today. Now you see those elements that we always talk about. Earth, wind or air or ether, water, and fire. Building blocks of life. Right? These are the first physical building blocks of life in our universe. Right? Earth, where we are, the air above us, atmosphere, the waters below us, and the fire would be the heavens and the hells, top and bottom. Right? This is the Bhuloka in Vedic cosmology. Right, I'll try and okay. Let's go into detail. Right, this Bhuloka. Right, the Egyptians said it was the Ben, a pyramid, and I think it looks something like this. Okay, as above, so below. So it's a pyramid at the top and a pyramid at the bottom. Okay, right. I think at the center here, at some stage, there was a capstone. Right, which I'll explain in a minute. At the moment, it's a crater, but I'll explain that in detail in a Now, mainstream science tells us that our Earth has got three layers, three inner layers. There's a crust, a mantle, an inner core, and an outer core, right? But they tell us that this is on a spinning ball. I'm saying that it is not. What they're actually trying to tell us is that these are the four layers in the Ben. This is the cross section, by the way. Okay, and I'll show you what it is a cross section of. The crust, the mantle, the inner core, and the outer core.
What I really appreciate about this, right, is that he's not saying they're lying. He's not calling them names. He's not saying, he's not being accusatory or nothing. He's really approaching this shit like as humble and as loving and as curious as one could approach it, right? Because when we tend to go on the quest for the truth and we are met with lies or what appears to be a lie, we call it that. We say, "Oh, NASA, they lying." We see we go into it and we try to throw away the whole thing. But to be able to sort through the meat and the bones, the lies from the truth, you understand what I'm saying? The good from the bad, the salt from the pepper, be able to do that and actually come out with something is very commendable. You know what I mean? So at best, this is worth the the wait. This is worth the watch. This is worth whatever it is. Even me interrupting it as so often. You know what I mean? But this is worth it.
Inside the Earth, which is basically this. This is the Ben. This is the Earth. But this is the top half. So if you imagine this at the top, there's also a bottom bit, an upside down pyramid. Okay? And that is sitting on the great deep, on the waters below. And above, you've got the waters above, which are the atmospheres. Right? So when they tell us that the Earth has got three layers, a crust, a mantle, an inner core, and an outer core, that is inner Earth, inside this Ben. The layer between the two pyramids. So there's some truth in that. Okay? So I found that really, really interesting when I came across that. Okay? The ancient cultures also talk about these this Ben in quite a lot of detail. Okay? The Egyptians called it Geb, Mother Geb. The Indo-Vedics, the Buloka, which is the land. In Greek, it was Mother Gaia. And in Norse mythology, it was Midgard. Okay? The top of this also had names. Okay? So the whole thing has got a name. In Kemetic Egypt, it's the Ben, right? But on the top, this is Mother Geb. If you're looking from the top, this was Mother Geb. Okay? In Greek mythology, the whole thing is Gaia. But the top, as you see with these concentric rings, is Atlantis or Atlas. Okay? In Norse mythology, they just call it all Midgard. Okay? They had one name for it. In Vedic cosmology or in Vedic scripts, they call the whole thing the Burloka. But the top is the Bu Mandala. The concentric rings are the Bu Mandala. Okay? It's also interesting that in Greek mythology, they said that Mother Gaia had two children. Okay? This is Mother Gaia, the whole thing. Had two children. Who are the two children? The two children are the top part and the bottom part. Prometheus and Epimetheus. These are the two held below us. Okay? Right? I hope that makes sense. So I'll move on to the next slide. Right. Now that we established that this is what the whole Earth looks like, our entire Earth is a pyramid Bhumandala with 4 concentric rings. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything is in 4s in the universe. Right? All creation is in 4s in the universe. Right? At the center, we've got what we now know as the Garden of Eden. So anyone who's been following our videos will know about this. The Garden of Eden is at the center. This is where we are here, the second ring.
There it is. All creation is in 4s in the universe. I think that's where some people get mad right there. Because I could see my mind is even saying, what? But I think I know what he means. Like I said, man creates off the 4. You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
There's an outer ring and an outer ring outside that, all separated by these mountains, what we call the Antarctica ice wall. Okay, this is our South Pole, the Antarctica. And the North Pole, there is a mountain range separating us from the worlds at the center, from Eden, from Shambhala, Hyperborea. Okay? And outside they've got their own wall separating from this. This last one is got the greatest one. It's called the Loka Mountains in Vedic scriptures. These are the Loka Mountains, the great mountains. Right? And these are the last mountains before the torus field, the cosmic egg. Okay? So beyond this, there is no land. It's the cosmic egg blocking us out from the void outside. Right? So let's focus on the center, on where we are, and what that might look like. Okay? There's some really important bits. Okay. Around, okay, around each of these 4 worlds, is also in torus fields. So remember, this is in torus fields. Each of these worlds also has its own torus field cocooning it. So there's a torus field around
What
this
that look
outer
like?
world.
Show us what
There's a
it look
torus
like.
field around this one. There's a torus field around that one, and there's a torus field at the center. Okay, and what that would look like essentially is something like this. Okay, from our perspective, from where we are, right, almost like those Russian dolls.
Like an onion. Um, so much stuff outside of us that's here to help us teach us, right? If you are, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So when you become ready, everything around you will be a teacher, teaching you certain things. You will start to learn the alternate ways and other ways that people are trying to figure out the same thing we all trying to figure out. A lot of times we wait till we get scared to go down the rabbit hole out of desperation. Now you're trying voodoo, you're trying to pray to the stars. Now you trying to eat some bush and some shit like that. Try it now when there's no distress, when you can really do some real discerning, some real critical thinking. I mean, be open to a lot more than this, man, because there's more than meets the eye than what's going on. You know what I mean? So the torch feels an energy that's kind of depicted in the shape of an apple or stuff like that, because of the dimple in the middle, right, where the energy is coming back down, making that cosmic highway. You know what I mean? So far so good, man. I like it so far, man. Tell me what y'all think so far. Is this a waste of time? Is this bullshit? Like, tell me what you think, man. Put it in the comments, man. It's your boy, NFO, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Code breaker, you already.
Right? So there's one at the center, a torus field like that. There's one on the outer worlds, a bigger one. Then there's a bigger one on the outside, right? Now, I noticed something very interesting about this. These toroidal fields, right, are probably oblate spheroids in shape. So when mainstream science and NASA says the Earth is an oblate spheroid, this is what they're telling us. They're kind of telling us a half truth, right? Which is why they can blatantly lie with a straight face, because they know they're usurping the truth. And when it comes out, they'll just probably say, well, you're too stupid to understand what we're saying, but we're telling you the truth. So this is an oblate spheroid. Underneath where we are, this is where the four layers would be: the crust, the mantle, inner core, and outer core, just like mainstream science says, right? Inner Earth. And above us, we've got the three atmospheres within our toroidal field. We've got the troposphere, the stratosphere, right? The mesosphere, and the thermosphere inside our torus field. This top bit is what mainstream science calls the Van Allen belt. This is the Van Allen belt, this toroidal field, right? They tell us there's a field of energy that they cannot go past called the Van Allen belt. This is it. By the way, they also tell us that there are 5 Van Allen belts in the universe. So that's the 4 of the worlds, the 5th one being the outermost one. They also tell us that our universe is covered with cosmic background microwave radiation, which is basically a torus field. So they're telling us that the whole universe is inside a torus field. Cosmic background radiation, electromagnetism. So again, they're telling us the truths, but in a twisted way so that we don't figure out exactly what it is. Okay? So that is what it would look like from our perspective. Right. I also hypothesize that these toroidal fields have got different motions that they're moving at. Okay? So science tells us that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour on its axis. Yeah? And then it's spinning at 67,000 miles an hour around the sun. And then it's spinning at 490,000 miles an hour in the universe. Again, there is some truth in that. It's not a complete lie. So the terra firma we're standing on is obviously not spinning, but the toroidal fields around us are spinning. Okay? So I've depicted it here on this cross section. Okay? So here, we've got the pyramid Bhumandala. We've got the toroidal fields going around each of the lands, over and underneath. Right? 1 at the center, 2 where we are, 3 on the outside worlds, and the 4th one on the furthest out worlds. Okay? Our toroidal field. Then you're here, and then you incarnate where we are. Okay? And then you get to the center. So those of us who are being drawn to goodness, to love, to truth, right? Those of us who are trying to change things for the better, okay? We are shooting stars. We are ascending, right, on the cycle of life. We're on our way up. And we're meeting in the middle with those descending. So you've got the good guys and the bad guys. And this is necessary for the cycle of life. This is duality. This is polarity, good and bad. It has to happen. Fallen angels and shooting stars. Okay? Now remember, I put the suns on this side and the moons on this side. I did that deliberately. Okay? Except for that.
Fallen angels and shooting stars. That was a pretty cool little catchphrase. Let's get some of this right fast. Let's see if we can get to the conclusion. of it. I think we've seen the model, right? We got the link in the title right here. You can find it on your own. This has been pretty lengthy. I appreciate you for hanging in there so far with your boy. Um, I wanted y'all to hear a little bit of Santos. This is not necessarily his his platform where he's doing his thing. So he's here, um, critiquing this guy's theory, put more truths and whatever he sees to it, add his opinion to it. This would just add on for more conversation later on for us when we talk about certain things because this is going into like history and way things are and why, big why, right? And that will help answer a lot more other questions that revolve around you because you are the master of your universe. You are the center of your universe. You are the observer in your universe. You are the active participant in your universe. You see what I'm saying? You are the holder of everything. You know? So this has to be always implemented in the science, right? They try to remove you, and you are God. So they're always removing God from the equation. Understand?
Um, I'll give you an example. Okay. All right. These are some famous people I've got here. Let me see if I remember who. Oh yeah, I know who this one is. Marlon Brando. Okay, Arian. I'm not going to do his. I'm just. I will one day. That's why I got these made. But you see Venus and Mercury.
Yep.
And there's the sun. They're always near the sun. Okay.
Okay.
So Mercury can never be more than 28 degrees away from the sun. So he's always. It can only be in the sign of the sun, which in this case he's not. Is in the 28th degree of Pisces, and the sun is in the 12th degree of Aries. So there's still only 14 degrees apart from each other. That Mercury can only be another 14 degrees further away from the sun. Venus, 48, okay? So let's have a look at another chart. Who we got here? Elvis Presley. There's his sun.
So what he's doing now is tightening up this guy's theory. He had the Van Allen belts. These Van Allen belts were the barriers or the firmament of other earths, other worlds, other realms of the Terra, right? And they have their own sun and moon. And now he's going to give him some more details to add into his theory. And if he could put that in his theory, then his theory would hold water. So I think this is fucking awesome. Uh, I'm gonna conclude it here though, guys, because like I said, it has been a while. Been a pretty good video, right? So conclusion, man. I want to say the Masonic. Let's get into some masonry real fast because we had some symbols. Earlier we showed you symbols of the square and the compass and so forth, right? And the Masons got 33 degrees, right? Well, to me, a degree is all right. It's a circle. It has a point, and we have 360 degrees. Those 360 degrees is the amount of different ways that we can see the point. The point is in the center of the circle, right? So when you learn information and you can only take the information one way and you can't see it any other way, you, my friend, are limited in your view, right? You are supposed to have 360 degrees of it, so you should be able to see it for its entirety, call it for whatever it may be, not just limited to what you want it to be because you have some type of emotion tying into it, right? You got to when we receive information, there is an emotional guard that guards the information as you receive it, so that when you get that information challenged in the future, you emotion kicks up. You trying to figure out not my Jesus and not my church or not my mama or not this or not that, because you have an emotional thing that's blocking you from receiving the truth. You understand? In certain like dental offices and shit, they got a sign say no parents beyond this point, because your instinct as a parent to protect the child from crying and all that, it would kick in watching your child cry having this dental procedure, and you got to surrender to the experts and let us do it, because these is just we deal with kids all the time, blah 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 blah. You understand? So there's a lot of emotion that fucks up the way we receive information. You understand? So this is that is a problem, right? This round earth, flat earth, it shouldn't be a discouraging conversation. People shouldn't go, oh, like it's so whatever, right? Because we're dealing with a trickster. I'm going to keep stressing that. Some of the best earth models you have seen was in Hollywood. You've seen it in on TV, all over the place. And it's the pictures they pull up on the computer. These are made by man. They've been edited. Is pretty much an artist. They say it. It's an artist. They give credit to the artist, and it baffles me that we take that as the truth. You know what I mean? So, um, like I said, it's the same establishment that deems your skin illegal. This is the same. This is the same group. You think that science is separated from this mind? Well, I told you about the evolution. Evolution, the Darwin's theory was designed to justify the white man being better than the black man, right? And they put it in evolutionary terms. So now they got evolution. So when we co-sign evolution, yeah, you're saying that your peak right here, and then past your peak is the white man. He, he, he evolved out of you, and he's the better you. This is why he's on top. This is why he civilizes lands and takes this and all this shit like that. Why we're running under his narrative. Earlier I said 200 years. I meant to say 2025 years. You know what I mean? But um, so yeah, guys, give it a try, give it a listen, give it a go. It's your boy NFO, man. Hope y'all enjoyed, man. Hope it adds some more clarity, some more rhyme and reason to the argument, to the fight, to the resistance, and put some of this stuff that they try to bury, just try to put it more near, put it near the surface for us. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, man, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the subscribe. Sorry for the delay and shit. Peace. Get though.